Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to resume the formalities this evening. But just prior to doing that, having walked around the room and having talked to so many people, I think we all feel that that video that was put together tonight was little short of magnificent in terms of capturing the 70s. How about a round of applause for Bill Owens and, of course, Rick Wade. Funny man, that Bill Owens. You know, he sent me a Christmas card thanking me for what I've done for the Magpies. If I deserved a Christmas card, I think he deserves a special visit from Santa with a very full sleigh, because he does a magnificent job for the club in every way. Well done, Bill Owens and Rick. Rick Wade will be at the end of a microphone shortly talking to those players who are with us tonight, who are part of the team of the 70s. But ladies and gentlemen, we do have some formalities to get underway now, as we launch the season and as we honour a couple of very, very special people. And to do that, it's my pleasure to welcome back to the microphone the chairman of WESTS Magpies, Mr. Kevin Hammond.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you've all enjoyed your dinners thus far. There's a couple of very, very important functions I have to perform now, both of which give me great pleasure, but there can be no more pleasurable task for a chairman to perform than to bestow the highest award or the highest honour that a club can bestow, and that is of life membership. Tonight we were to bestow that honour formally on two people. Unfortunately, Mr. John Donnellan, who would be known to quite a few people in this room, could not be with us tonight. So unfortunately, we won't be able to present John with his life membership medallion. We'll have to catch up with him. But for your information, there is a detailed account of John's contribution to the Magpies over many years and the important role that he played in the survival of this club in a legal sense back in 1983, when the club was forced to have to fight for its very right of survival against the establishment. And he was a very, very worthy nominee and certainly a very, very worthy recipient of life membership. Unfortunately, John couldn't be with us here tonight. That brings me to... Yes, thank you. That brings me to our second nominee for life membership. You have there before you tonight a detailed account of this man's contribution as a player to firstly Western Suburbs and in later days West Tigers. There is no doubt whatsoever that this gentleman, had Western Suburbs still be competing at the top level, he still would have been wearing the black and white of the Magpies, as proud as he always has in that period of time. John Scandalis started his career as John Scandalis started his playing career as a West junior playing for the Minto Cobras club and graduated to play junior representative football for the Magpies before being graded in 1996. And from that point on until present has played a combined in excess of 200 first grade games for Western Suburbs and West Tigers. That in the modern era is in itself a magnificent achievement, because loyalty in the modern era is seldom found unless it's at the end of a chequebook. And for somebody who has remained loyal to the one club from coming up through the junior ranks of that district and then representing that club at various levels to first grade and progressing on to, in our case, into the West Tigers, which is our current first grade team, is a rarity. And it speaks and is testimony of the calibre of this gentleman. I look back on a game West Tigers played at Campbelltown Stadium this year when, as part of the heritage celebrations of the NRL, West Tigers played in their Western Suburbs outfit. And I watched John, and I might be wrong, but I watched John in that game, and I could see that, particularly when he scored that try, that much deserved try, I saw somebody who still had that passion and that pride burning in pulling on a black and white jumper. And it's important here tonight that John has some of his teammates and former colleagues of Western Suburbs here, because it's always been my concern that a lot of the younger players, particularly since West moved out to Campbelltown, and in fact going back home to our original area, or what was part of our original area, that the young players out there don't really understand what it's like or what it means to put on a black and white jumper. And what we've worked very, very hard to do over the last 5-6 years is to instill in our players just what it is they are part of and something to be proud of. And to see Anthony here tonight with Brady and Liam as part of that, I hope that they take away from here tonight just what it is that's something special that they've been part of, because each and every one of them have worn the black and white with pride. And there was no prouder moment for this club to see on grand final day those former West players hold that grand final trophy aloft, and one of those people was John Scandalis. John has been a magnificent ambassador for Western Suburbs out in the Macarthur, Liverpool area. He was idolised by the younger players, by the youth of the area. In fact, I think if he stood for mayor, he wouldn't have any trouble in getting elected. There's no doubt about that. He's been an inspiration, a role model to the younger players out there. And as I said, to see him wear the black and white jumper with the pride that he displayed in that game, I needed no further proof to know that, as I said, from within, that flame, that black and white flame still burns. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has had a remarkable career. He is certainly a player who can hold his head high from what he's achieved. It is certainly disappointing that following the grand final victory of last year that John didn't deservedly get his position in the Australian side for whatever reason. We'll never know. But if anybody deserved to get that green and gold jumper for that tour, it was John Scandalis. Ladies and gentlemen, this man has earned the right to stand amongst the greats that this club has produced over almost 100 years. In years to come, when they speak of Noel Kelly and Keith Holman, Les Boyd, John Donnelly, John Doherty, and the list goes on, they will also speak of this man, John Scandalis. John, would you come up to the stage?
Well, I don't know what to say really. I didn't find out till I jumped off the plane from England in our World Club Challenge, and honestly, I didn't really sink in. And I went up to Steve Noyce and I said, "Mate, listen, I've got a life membership at Western Suburbs," and he explained to me the names and all the legends that have been part of this, and then I realised how special it is and how honoured I am to accept this. And to still be playing for West Tigers, and got that magpie on the sleeve. It's something special, and to be in the same breath as some of the players that are there. It's I feel very humble, and I can't thank the people that who have made this decision to make me a life member. I can't thank you enough, and definitely Western Suburbs is in my heart forever. And I just thank you very much.
Thanks, John. The next pleasurable task I have to perform tonight is that at our presentation night we departed from what has previously been done before, and we decided to put up for auction the number 1 members badge of this club. And I'm proud to say, I'm very pleased to say, that the successful bidder on that night for the number 1 membership badge was somebody who's been involved with the club now for a considerable amount of time, since the club moved out to the Campbelltown area, the Macarthur Liverpool area. This gentleman and his wife has been magnificent supporters of the Magpies over a lengthy period of time. In fact, up until recently they were our landlords, and they were exceptional landlords, and they've provided us with every support, every consideration, and it's been very much appreciated. And certainly without the support of people like Kevin and Julie O'Keefe from Macarthur Engineering, we would find it very difficult to survive. So I'd like now to ask Kevin and Julie to come up here to receive the number 1 membership badge, and also a commemorative trophy that we've had struck for them to keep past 2006. Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks very much for that. How could you not bid for something when you've got the West Seniors and the West Juniors living next door to you? But it's been a pleasure to be with in this company tonight. On behalf of Julie and myself, we guarantee our support for a number of years. There's fantastic people here like Scando, who just received a life membership. You see Scando in Campbelltown talking to a lot of the young kids, a lot of people, and all the players that I've found that have moved on. They've really made life special for the juniors of the West teams, the West Juniors. But thanks very much. Thanks for having us, and we look forward to a long association. Thank you.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Julie. The next item on the agenda, ladies and gentlemen, is something which will give a lot of people here a great pleasure. A couple of years ago, we decided that we might take a road down the path of modernisation, and we decided that we would change our playing strip and the logo of the club with a view to trying to, I suppose, make the club more appealing to the younger generation. But what we found was that there was a considerable amount of concern amongst our membership and supporters that we lost part of our identity in departing from our traditional strip or traditional uniform, for which we've become obviously synonymous with and very recognisable. So the board thought long and hard, and we certainly listened to the comments of our members and supporters via the website and through other mediums as to what they believe we should be doing, and it became apparent that some of our members thought that we were suffering some sort of an identity crisis. So in response to those concerns, the board considered as to what our identity should reflect or should project, both in terms of our logo, our emblem, and also our playing strip. And there's no doubt that on both occasions there was one very common denominator on both fronts, both in the terms of the logo and in terms of our playing strip. We have over the years tried to instill the culture of the Western Suburbs that it was known for in latter years, and part of that process was to involve people in the club that had played for the club, that had made a substantial contribution to the club in their own right as players, and with a view to instilling in the younger generation a sense of pride and a sense of belonging and a sense of meaning in playing and pulling on the black and white of Western Suburbs. To that end, we've been very, very successful, and as you've heard here tonight, we've been extremely fortunate enough to to lure John Doherty out of retirement, much to probably Linda's consternation. She's going to become a football widow again, but to have somebody the calibre of John Doherty come out of retirement to coach us, obviously a Team of the Century member, Team of the 70s member, is something very special. And with John being the coach, also one of John's sons, there'll be some familiar names running around in Premier League this year. One will be by the name of Doherty, and another young fellow will have the surname of Boyd. So I don't know whether we can expect the same sort of fireworks that another fellow by the name of Boyd provided, but nevertheless it is a second generation of both those names in the club, and that's something that we're all looking forward to as the season kicks off in 2 weeks' time. So, ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, the board considered very carefully as to what the priorities were, what the club stood for, and very much wanted to reflect its pride in its history and in its tradition. And in so doing, we decided that we would go back to something which reflected that, with a bird with its head held high, as it should be, and a slight modernisation of what used to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, for 2006 and beyond, the new logo of the Western Suburbs Magpies will be I think, ladies and gentlemen, the words and the bird says it all so far as the club is concerned. And in terms of our playing strip, there can be no more recognisable Western Suburbs jersey and appearance than what you're about to see, modelled now kindly by Sandra. Sorry. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. The players wanted it, the supporters wanted it, and the board wanted it. And whilst it was nice to have that little detour into the contemporary side, I don't think anybody would disagree that there's nothing more Western Suburbs than that jersey, and nothing more reflective of Western Suburbs than that magpie. Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for your attention. I'll now hand you back to your Master of Ceremonies. But just before I go, tonight you have in front of you there a memento of the occasion, a stein, a beer stein or a glass, on which is inscribed the team of the 70s, and also the team of the 70s, or the celebration of the 70s logo. Underneath that logo, you'll see the word Victor. And I'm very, very pleased, as you'll see, that we selected the team of the 70s jersey to depict the Victor logo of that era, and we did that quite deliberately because a fact seldom unknown is that Western Suburbs actually pioneered the corporate sponsorship in rugby league. Back in the 60s, there was an association with Arnott's Biscuits, and in the mid-70s, there was an association with the Philip Morris Company, which saw